watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Good afternoon to you. Welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is 4 o'clock, and that means it's time for today's Top 4 at 4, where we break down 4 of the big stories that we're tracking in the Fox 35 newsroom today. And joining me for today's Top 4 at 4, Fox 35 News anchor Luann Sorrell. Luann, thanks for being here.
Yeah, good to be here.
So our first story, we begin with, it was breaking news we had in our 11 o'clock show today, where a federal judge is blocking President Trump's birthright citizenship executive order.
Yeah, it's happened again, even though the U.S. Supreme Court said that federal judges do not have the authority to issue nationwide injunctions on the president's executive orders. But this federal judge in New Hampshire did it a little differently. This is actually a class action lawsuit that was filed on behalf of infants. The lawsuit says that this executive order that bans birthright citizenship actually infringes on babies' 14th Amendment rights here in the United States. So once again, the birthright citizenship ban, which was signed by the president, has been stopped as of now because of this federal injunction. I'm sure that the Trump administration will once again file an appeal, probably up to the U.S. Supreme Court. But the justices decided that if it is a class action lawsuit, then a federal judge can issue an injunction. So we'll have to see if it makes it to the U.S. Supreme Court, if they now change that part of their order.
Yeah, it's really interesting, kind of that, as you described, that kind of a workaround almost for how this was kind of able to be done, because we know that kind of window was left open. We should also note that the Supreme Court, in their previous ruling where they made that decision, did not rule on the merits of the birthright citizenship. That will likely come in the next term, and so it's still just a lot of questions and a lot of things up in the air about this. And it's something that will have a major impact. And so, I think a lot of people are watching this closely.
Absolutely. When I heard like a federal judge put on another injunction, and I'm like, what? I had to search on my phone. Like, how is that possible? The workaround is extremely interesting. If it's a class action lawsuit, then they can do it nationally. So yeah, it sounds like this is just getting started.
Just getting started. Yeah. Absolutely right about that. Meanwhile, our story number 2 today, and that is a concern seem to be growing about the conditions at Alligator Alcatraz, and Democratic lawmakers at the state level and at the federal level have a lot of questions. Yeah,
you remember state lawmakers, Democrats tried to get in last week, but they were told they couldn't get into Alligator Alcatraz down in the Everglades. Well, now it appears state officials have invited Florida lawmakers and members of Congress to tour that facility on Saturday. It's going to be a 90-minute tour. There's no telling yet what areas they will actually get to see with their own eyes. But yeah, a lot of people are concerned. We're hearing that there could be possibly flooding in there. And the Democrats mostly want to get inside to see, how immigrants are being treated inside this facility. It appears it is going to happen now this Saturday. A 90-minute tour is scheduled in Alligator Alcatraz.
You mentioned that previous visit from the state lawmakers. One of the lawmakers who was there was State Representative Anna Eskamani, and I talked with her today on Florida Live, and she talked about kind of going down there. One of the responses from a statement from the state was calling their visit political theater, and so I asked her to respond to that, and here's what she said.
It's a lot of projection. This is the same department, the same state leaders who are selling merchandise to promote this detention center and are giving contracts, no big contracts, to their friends who then cut political contributions to the governor and the attorney general and the Republican Party of Florida. And so there's nothing political. There's definitely no spectacle to practice oversight. That is our job as state lawmakers. This facility is going to cost more than $450 million and was built in less than a week. What bothers me is if we could spend that money on housing affordability, on addressing food insecurity, on helping to ensure that we have public transportation in our neighborhoods. There's so many other better uses of that money. So for me, it's not about politics. It's about good government and being responsible to the taxpayer.
And you mentioned that tour on Saturday, this coming Saturday. From what we've learned from federal lawmakers, this was originally something that they had planned as like an oversight visit, an unannounced visit kind of like what the state lawmakers tried to do and were
Yeah.
denied. At the federal level, they said they should be let in. They were going to plan an unannounced visit. Somehow they say they believe word got out about that, and the state is now offering this tour. And so they have concerns about what they are going to see
Right.
in this tour.
Is it going to be staged to make it look better than it really is when no lawmakers are there? I get it.
That is their concern. We heard from we talked with Congressman Maxwell Frost earlier today, who said he's afraid this is going to be what he called a sanitized version. Here's what he said.
A group of members of Congress and I actually had a kind of already planned unannounced visit to the facility this Saturday. We were going to pull up unannounced and say, you have to let us in because by law, they have to let us in. Somehow the DeSantis administration caught wind of this, and so they decided to invite us instead. We know what we're going to see is they're going to clean it up. They're going to try to get rid of all the problems, but we've seen the reports, toilets not working, phones not working, flooding, feces stacking up in these places. We also heard a report of someone who might have passed away due to a food illness recently as well. And there's just no answers coming from the administration or ICE. And so we're going to go. We know that they're going to clean it up, but at the end of the day, a clean cage is still a cage. And so I'm going to go and talk with people, and we actually have a list of constituents from here or the surrounding area that we want to check up on as well.
So we will certainly see what comes from that visit on Saturday.
Absolutely.
Story number 3, and this one out of Polk County, where we learned of some out-of-state teenagers arrested for swatting calls.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't aware of that story, so you're going to have to lead me on this. I was doing the story of the 17-year-old shot in the head, so forgive me.
Yes.
Was that tied to that?
Separate story.
Okay.
But so apologize on the change there. But yes, so this is a story out of Polk County. We heard from Grady Judd just earlier this afternoon, and he was talking about it was these two teenagers, a 15-year-old and a 14-year-old from out of state, one from New York, one from Connecticut. It started with disagreements over video games, ended up calling in these swatting calls. And we've talked about these swatting calls before and the danger that it poses.
They seem to happen all the time. You're online, you get mad at someone, and these kids call in, hey, I have a gun to someone's head in a house. It's so dangerous because the people in that home have no idea what's going on. The police usually show up, they kick in the door, they have guns drawn, and you're just chilling playing a video game, have no idea what's happening. It can turn dangerous very quickly.
Very quickly. And the sheriff's office, Polk County Sheriff's Office said today, they get one of these calls about once a week.
Oh, wow.
Which seems like a lot for fake calls that, like you said, pose that much danger, pull resources that could be used somewhere else that you just don't know. They said because this was multiple calls, they said they kind of had an idea, thankfully, in this situation, what was going on. One of the things Grady Judd said today in this news conference was about how that swatting is changing some of the policies at the sheriff's office. Here's what he said.
This epidemic has gotten so bad that we do not do a emergency response to something that is announced as being that horrific. We know by patterns and trends, the way they make the phone calls, that there's a 99.9% chance that it is a swatting call and not a real emergency. Our first fear is at some point in time, because there's been so much of this crying wolf through these swatting calls, that there will be a real emergency that needs a real response, and it won't get the appropriate response. And then there's always somebody goes, well, why don't you respond as an emergency to all of them? Because it puts law enforcement officers' lives at risk. It puts fire and EMS life at risk if they're called into the swatting incident. And it puts the homeowners at risk. Many times these calls come after the homeowners have gone to bed at night. So all of a sudden there's this big rapping on the door and there's this police response. Well, you wake somebody up in Florida, Polk County, in the middle of the night with a big rap on the door, and it's more likely than not that the homeowner is going to have a gun in his hand on the other side of the door, which can end up a horrible event.
So like we were talking about, I mean, serious consequences to this kinds of stuff. And so you almost have to, if you're law enforcement like that, adjust some of the policies, unfortunately, because It has become so common.
Yeah, you have to tread very lightly if you think that's the case, because like you said, this is Florida and a lot of people are armed.
Yeah. Story number 4, and that we got a look at a new haunted house for Halloween Horror Nights, and this one looks pretty creepy.
Oh, all of them are creepy. I can't do it. I just get so creeped out. You know, it's hard to think about Halloween right now because it's still, you know, the heat of July. We're still in the midst of summer, but this is such a fun event. People go multiple times. So we know the tickets for multiple days are now being released. If you want to go, you can buy tickets. Tell us, Garrett, about this new haunted house, because I hadn't heard about it yet.
So this is the Terrifier. You see the creepy clown that you may be familiar with. This is certainly not my cup of tea. Looks a little creepy for me. It's supposed to be quite gory as well. So we'll talk with Theron White about that a little bit later on to break down some of the details of that, because he's certainly more well-versed in it than I am. But you mentioned the multi-day passes that are on sale, so you can check out all of the haunted houses, all of the creepiness all at once.
My boys look forward to this event every single year. I haven't been able to muster up the courage to go yet. I can't even watch scary movies. I have to do it like this. And they're just like, just don't ask Mom to watch the movie. She can't deal.
I like scary movies, but it's a little bit different for me when it's like an immersive experience
where
like
they can
that.
touch you.
Yeah, some of them I would go for. Some of them I might not. I probably wouldn't go through the Terrifier one if we're being honest. And you know, clowns are something that is a common like phobia for people.
Yeah,
so
for a lot of people, like the It movie and stuff. But yeah, if that's what you're into, it looks super fun. It draws tons of people. I think they keep extending the dates every year because so many people want to go. So yeah, enjoy if that's what you're into.
And it starts next month, I believe,
Wow.
August. So
you have to wear shorts.
That's right. Celebrate Halloween kind of all year long.
Yeah.
But a lot to look forward to there. We've gotten now most, I think, of the haunted house announcements. So certainly something to look forward to. And again, we'll have more details with Theron coming up a little bit later in the show.
Good.
Well, that is today's Top Forward for Luann. We appreciate you joining us.
Sure.
We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, and we will be right back after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Laurel Blanchard joins me now. And Laurel, if it's, even with the heat and humidity, still a nice afternoon out there so far.
Still a nice afternoon, still going to be seeing a couple of those daily thunderstorms continuing to pop up. But right now, things are actually looking pretty nice as we take a look over downtown Orlando. Lake Eola off in the distance right there. Still seeing some blue, unlike what we saw yesterday. And those storms not going to be as widespread, but still going to be seeing some of those thunderstorms out there as we head through the rest of the afternoon. Beautiful view over Lake Fairview as well. Still seeing some of those beautiful blue skies. But those temperatures are hot out there right now, Garrett. 93 degrees. But it's really feeling like 100 out there as we take a look because of the humidity. Still seeing a couple of storms out there, but again, nowhere near as widespread as what we saw yesterday. Still seeing a couple of those storms lingering in southern Brevard County. We can see right there lots of lightning as it drifts down towards the south. It's almost in Indian River County, but we are going to be seeing just a few more of those lingering storms because of that thunderstorm through the rest of the evening. So we're almost there. It's Friday Eve, almost to the weekend, and we're going to be seeing through the rest of the overnight tonight partly cloudy skies with the exception of just that stray lingering shower. Tomorrow morning, that morning commute looks good, mostly sunny skies. It is going to be hot and humid though as you're headed out the door, so heads up for that. Things are going to probably not make it the best hair day with not only the humidity, but those temperatures already starting off in the mid 70s. So it is definitely going to be hot out there. Also taking a look, this is your Friday, right around noontime, we can see those storms starting to pop up. Slowly starting to die down through the afternoon and evening, so heads up, it may be a little bit of a soggy start for some who are looking to get an early jump on the weekend. But hot, humid, and stormy as we take a look at the weekend ahead, and it is definitely going to be a little on the rougher side and more widespread, especially when we're talking about storms. We are going to be once again seeing a little bit of that tropical moisture picking up off the Gulf, and this is what's going to raise our rain chances, taking a look ahead towards the weekend and the start of the next work week. So things definitely a little bit more on the rainy side as we take a look at the next couple of days. But Garrett, the heat is on. Tomorrow we are going to be seeing those highs in the mid 90s, and then that's not even adjusting for the humidity out there. So I hope you're ready for this, because over the next couple of days we're even going to continue to see those temperatures on the rise. It's going to be throughout the mid 90s, taking a look at the weekend, and then just look at the heat indices. It is, with the humidity, really going to feel hot out there. We're possibly flirting with that heat advisory. Heat advisories start to kick in when it feels like 108 degrees. And we're going to be pretty close. Look at that, 107 out there as we take a look at the weekend.
So beach day, pool day, lake day, as long as you can dodge those storms, right?
I like the sound of that. If only I was spending my weekend like that, that would sound amazing. Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to pull up the Lake Fairview cam again because we saw some people out on the water. There's people, someone pulling an inner tube, someone on a jet ski right now. I mean, they're doing it right now at least.
They are. They're enjoying the summer the way that it's supposed to be treated, for sure. We are really going to be seeing that heat indices really warm out there. Again, almost flirting with that heat advisory, and we're going to really just monitor that because, yeah, those temperatures are in the mid 90s, so it's going to be feeling well above 10 degrees more than what it actually is. And again, that really just has to do with all of that humidity in the air. But of course, it's Florida in the summertime. This is really nothing new. However, we haven't seen a heat advisory yet this year, so we're pretty close to it as we do take a look at this weekend for sure.
Yeah, definitely pushing it on Saturday and Sunday, no doubt about that. Now let's talk a little tropics here.
A little bit of tropic news. So Garrett, nothing expected for the next 7 days. So this is according to the National Hurricane Center. Over the next 7 days, no activity expected. So we're still in this little bit of a lull after Chantal, but Chantal actually producing a lot of rain up in New England right now. Main areas, especially across Boston, were completely flooded over because of this rain from the last of Chantal. However, even though we're not expecting anything in the next 7 days, we always try to give you at least a little bit of a heads up of where we could be targeting next. And the Climate Prediction Center is taking a look 2 weeks out and that are possibly flagging the Gulf. So with that, there's a little bit more than a 20% chance that something could develop. But again, this is looking off in the future to something that hasn't even formed yet. So we're going to be watching this area closely as we take a look at the next week or so. Because really why we're flagging this area specifically is because of just look how warm the water is. Along the East Coast, temperatures lingering throughout the low 80s. In the Gulf, though, it is 85. That is like bath water in the ocean. So we're really just going to be seeing those very warm ocean waters. And that is just one of the ingredients right there that really kind of just gives the check that there could be something develop if something does form atmospherically. So we're still going to be watching this area very closely. Nothing to worry about yet. That's the big explanation right there. But the best thing that you can do is start just protecting your home. And while it is still quiet, also make sure your emergency kit is topped off as well. Just do the little things like prepare sandbags so you're not getting those at the last minute. Cleaning out your gutters, and then also while those grocery stores are still stocked, make sure again you just have everything that you have normally in your emergency kit to kind of get ahead of the game as we take a look at the rest of hurricane season, because we still have a long way to go. It's only the beginning of July, so we're really going to be seeing a wide rest of hurricane season, which officially wraps up at the end of November.
Yeah, a lot easier to prepare now than when everyone is trying to prepare, in the closing hours and days before a storm.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was one of those last minute people. Definitely wouldn't recommend, because I was probably even a little bit underprepared even for my liking. And I like to be prepared for sure. I definitely rode it to the very end for last season. So this season definitely learned my lesson on that one.
All right, and a pretty stormy 7-day forecast there.
Stormy 7-day forecast. Be prepared for those afternoon and evening storms, and even a little bit more of those widespread rain showers as we take a look at the weekend. Especially Sunday and Monday, we're going to be keeping a very close eye on that, especially as we take a look towards the end of the weekend, start of the work week. Things are really going to be more on the stormy side as we see a little bit of that tropical moisture in play. That's what's going to create much more widespread rain chances. So especially Sunday and Monday, we're going to be looking at much more widespread rain chances, and the main threat becoming that flash flooding and the possibility of that, because again, we have more of that rain to come over the next couple of days, and as we take a look at the end of the weekend, much more of that rain really going to kick in. So that's something that we're going to be watching very closely as we see those more widespread torrential rain chances start to kick in by the end of the weekend and start of the work week.
All right, Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Laurel Blanchard, we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Garrett.
We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus, and here's a live look from our Launch Credit Union camera along our Space Coast. Some new attractions at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex that you can look forward to, check out, and they also have some pretty great views, whether it's for a launch or to just check out. It's called the Gantry at LC 39, and it is now open to guests at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, giving 360-degree views, a lot of other things. This afternoon on Florida Live, I spoke with Darren Protze, who's the COO of Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, and he told us what all that new attraction has to offer.
We're really excited. It's actually on Kennedy Space Center is part of the admission and part of the bus tour, but guests are able to unload while they're actually on the center and get a 360 view of all the launch pads. The vehicle assembly building is absolutely amazing sight. And while they're walking around, they get interactives like an engine that simulates fire and launching, and they're able to stand right underneath it. So it's quite the experience, but don't worry, it comes out at 62 degrees. So learning about the nature and the preserve and everything about engineering, it's really, really exciting.
What does this add to the experience there, Darren?
Well, it's able to take guests and have them drop off right in the heart of the Kennedy Space Center. And it really adds that, exploration, inspiration. So kids are able to stomp rockets and launch them through an actual gantry that's seen right there. And then learn all about the nature preserve. And then there's a huge piece that we partnered up with NASA that is the Earth Information Center, which really talks about everything NASA is doing to protect our Earth, the communications through satellites, and they get to learn more and more about all the great research that's going on with NASA and the space industry.
And great views from there as well.
100%. They're absolutely stunning. So we're also offering launch viewing for guests, which gets you about as close as you can safely to a rocket right across from it. So it's going to be a pretty active and fun new addition to the visitor complex.
What's your favorite part about it?
Well, watching the kids smile as that test fire launches and they stand underneath it is super fun. And as they launch those stomp rockets almost 40 feet in the air. So that's probably my favorite piece, is seeing those smiles.
It's certainly a unique kind of element of that, to be able to kind of experience that.
Yeah, absolutely. On that sacred ground of Kennedy Space Center. So, and then the fact that it's a wildlife refuge and they're able to learn about all the great creatures that are walking around here and what we're doing to preserve them as well. So lots to learn, lots to do. And the interesting thing about the wildlife piece, there's alligators and turtles that are kind of mocked up where kids can climb and just have a fun interactive time before they load back on the bus and go see our Apollo Saturn V Center.
You talk to us about what all the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex has to offer for those who may not be familiar with it, maybe haven't had the chance to come out there, because there really is a lot going on and a lot to check out.
Yeah, you said that 100% correctly. Well, we're all about telling the NASA story and everything going on with space. So as they visit the visitor complex, the one thing that we are right on the Kennedy Space Center, and we are an active spaceport. So, with launches that are going to be well over 100, here very soon and probably pushing 200, there is always something happening at the Kennedy Space Center. But the visitor complex is all about that storytelling piece of it. But we try to do it in a very fun and interactive way. So as they get here, it's not a museum. It's really, they get to see amazing rockets. We are the real deal here. So everything they see is real. So we allow them to come and explore and discover those real artifacts that are here, but then able to see the shuttle up close, able to then go on the shuttle launch experience and what it's like to launch on the shuttle, go to spaceport and see a SpaceX booster that's actually flight flown, as well as the Orion, and some of the other great ingenuity that's going on that's new and next for NASA and the space industry, and then go in the spaceport and travel through space. So there's a lots to do, lots to see, and lots to learn here that hopefully inspires that next generation and really and captures the essence of what we're trying to do for the space program.
Yeah, because you talk about the number of launches that we have seen just increase. I mean, this is a huge industry, and it seems like no sign of slowing down, really, with the dedication to seeing more launches, more commercial launches, visions of going to Mars. I mean, so when you're talking about these, a lot of these kids coming in and experiencing this, it's not just for fun. I mean, it really is the next generation of these industry workers and others who could fall in love with this.
No, you're absolutely right, and that is really our goal. And our public outreach is really focused on that. So, and then to your point, not only kids, but young adults, and just learning about everything that's happening, because there's so many people that sometimes forget that the International Space Station is flying over us. So, really educating them on all the work that they're doing, but then coming to see probably an actual launch, and then looking right next to a rocket that looks just like the one they saw, really inspiring. And then to your point, not just astronauts. So, we have botany programs, we have all sorts of showcase. We're showcasing a lot of what NASA is doing for the field. So there's so many resources and careers that they can head on into. We're really hoping that we can grow our Space Coast, because it is, to your point, being the Silicon Valley of space here very quickly.
We'll be right back with more Fox 35 News Plus after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Court documents giving us some new information, some new details about the ongoing investigation into this alleged illegal gambling ring that suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez is facing charges in connection with, as are a number of other co-defendants as well. Fox 35's Randy Hildreth joins us live now via Zoom. Randy, you've been looking through some of these documents, and what have we been able to learn today?
Yeah, so one of the documents that I've gone through is that discovery list. And for viewers, just to give you context, discovery lists are given by both sides in a case as they begin to prepare for a trial. And it kind of gives a behind the scenes, a little bit of the playbook of witnesses, of documentation that each side has collected as they prepare for trial. So the opposite side knows kind of what they are working with. So the state has released their discovery list, and it gives us a little bit more information about some of the strings that they are pulling, some of the people that they are involving, some of the elements that they're looking into as they build this racketeering case against suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez. One of the things that was very interesting when we were looking through that discovery list was a name, the business name that was included on that list. It was Dreamers Arcade. And so we started doing some digging and reached out to the Lake County Sheriff's Office and realized that back in August 2024, specifically August 22nd, there was an illegal gambling bust at that location. If people are familiar with Claremont, State Road 50, there was a location off of this road in a plaza in Lake County where there was a location called Dreamers Arcade. You're looking at some of the devices, some of the machines that were seized from that location. And the sheriff's office confirmed to us that yes, this was Dreamers Arcade off State Road 50. We went in there back in 2024 and we seized about 100 illegal gambling devices. And we also seized about $45,000 in money at this location, shut down this illegal gambling operation. And again, that started raising red flags for us or signals to us when we saw that name connected to that crime in Lake County show up in this discovery list submitted by the state. Again, it gives kind of the playbook of some of the things that they are looking into as they investigate this alleged illegal gambling operation run and protected by suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez. And, you know, in court documents early on, there was some conversation and there was some notation by the state that some of the alleged crimes, some of the alleged occurrences happened in more than one judicial county. Early on, we heard a lot about the alleged illegal gambling operation in Kissimmee. Now, as we are working through this discovery list and pinpointing, you know, exactly what they're talking about, where these locations are, it gives us a little bit more insight into where they may believe he may have ties to other than allegedly just in Kissimmee.
Interesting to kind of learn more about those, like you said, those threads being pulled, those pieces being put together as this investigation continues. Fox 35's Randy Hildreth, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
We're also following a story out of Volusia County where we are tracking the fallout from a dog attack in Ormond Beach. Fox 35's Chris Lindsay joining us live now via Zoom. And Chris, what's the latest with this situation here?
Well, we spoke with this woman who says that she was out delivering food for the restaurant that she works with. She stopped to a residence here on Sunny Palm Drive in Ormond Beach. When she got here, she says the owner of two dogs burst out the door telling her to run. And by the time she realized what was happening, she says that one dog jumped on her. Just a few seconds later, a second one. She got some very serious injuries to her arm and legs. She had to undergo surgery for those. Thankfully, someone was able to intervene, punching and kicking at the dogs, able to get them away before things got even worse. She lost a lot of blood, and she said that things were touch and go for a while. Since then, those two dogs have been quarantined by Volusia County Animal Services, and now it's just a matter of a magistrate making a determination of what to do next.
And so what does happen next?
So there was actually a hearing yesterday. When this first happened, these dogs were labeled as dangerous dogs, which come with different responsibilities and requirements if they fall under that label. And oftentimes when you have these sort of attacks, the dogs are euthanized. So when they're labeled that by Volusia County Animal Services, the owners have an opportunity to appeal that or to allow that to go through. They decided to appeal it, which means it's now into the hands of the magistrate. They will make a determination if those dogs are deemed dangerous dogs and whether or not they'll be put down. We've seen this happen in Volusia County before, where the owner puts up a fight and they're trying to get their animal back. So it's just a matter of what they decide, whether or not those dogs will be put down or if some other recourse will happen.
Is there a timeline for kind of those next steps, those actions?
We're expected to have a final decision next week, according to a spokesperson with the county. So hopefully this thing will be resolved. This actually happened on June 20th, and this process has been going on for these past few weeks as she's still recovering.
All right, Fox 35's Chris Lindsay, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Fox 35 News Plus. We are tracking some breaking news here on Fox 35 News Plus as well. Just looking at this petition filed by some lawmakers, state lawmakers, including State Representative Anna Eskamani, Representative Angela Nixon, Michelle Rayner, as well as State Senators Carlos Guillermo Smith and Senator Chevron Jones. As well. They are the group of lawmakers who tried last week to get into Alligator Alcatraz and were denied. They have filed this petition asking the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court, for what's called a writ quo warranto that would basically require the state, the governor, the Division of Emergency Management to give them what they call statutorily sanctioned unannounced access to all of the facilities recently built at the Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport, dubbed the Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center. So this is new filings with the state Supreme Court as these state lawmakers look for further recourse to allow them to investigate and look further into that facility. We did speak with Anna Eskamani earlier today, just a little bit ago, actually, about the lack of answers that they've gotten, that they're unhappy about. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus. When we come back, I'm going to play that interview for you about some of the answers that Representative Eskamani says she is looking for, what she wants to see from the state and at these facilities. So keep it right here on Fox Local and on YouTube. We'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus, continuing to look through this petition for a writ quo warranto that would require the state to allow access to these state lawmakers who say they should have been allowed in last week when they went to Alligator Alcatraz in the Everglades, looking for access to what they say they should be allowed to conduct oversight on. And so they have been unhappy so far with the lack of answers that they have gotten in this, the inability to kind of see that facility and examine that facility to their liking. One of the lawmakers who is filing this petition, State Representative Anna Eskamani of Orlando, I talked with her earlier today on Florida Live. We talked about what she wants to see with Alligator Alcatraz. Also, she and Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith, who is another one of the lawmakers that was involved in this, they went to an Orlando ICE office earlier today and said they also weren't able to get the answers they wanted there. Here was my conversation with Representative Escamani just a little bit ago.
Myself and other members of the Florida legislature have been on an oversight mission. We're getting reports from constituents whose loved ones have been detained with no due process. There's been confusion over the 72-hour ICE hold period at the local county jail. And of course, we have loved ones that are being sent to the Everglades detention facility with no clear way to get in touch with them as lawyers. Some of these folks have court appointments. They are DACA. They have status, should not be detained. And there's just a lack of clarity on where to go and what to do when these situations happen. So myself and Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith went to the ICE office in Orlando this morning seeking some clarity on these points. Unfortunately, after waiting about 45 minutes to talk to someone, we were instead given a sheet of paper to send an email to get permission to talk to someone. So it was very frustrating. We did not get the type of clarity we were looking for. And of course, our oversight mission will continue.
Well, and that's the second time in a week now that you've kind of haven't gotten the answers quite that you were looking for. Talk to us about your visit to Alligator Alcatraz.
Yes, it has been a very frustrating experience, needless to say. Last week, myself and 4 other members of the Florida legislature went down to the Everglades to exercise our statutory authority and really just our civic responsibility of the taxpayer to go to the Everglades detention facility and to ask for access to be able to go in this facility and to talk to the workers to see what their work environments are like, what their living situations are like, to talk to the detainees, to learn more about what their humanitarian experiences are, and of course to look at the facility. We've already seen images of flooding. We've seen reports of lack of running water, of individuals not being fed, not being given medical attention, of lawyers not being able to contact their clients. So we came to the detention center and were told we could not move forward. We could not access the facility. And after going back and forth with the Florida Department of Emergency Management, we were told that it was a safety concern that would keep us out. And of course, when they told us that, we responded with, well, if it's unsafe for us to visit, how is it safe for individuals to be detained there? And so we were ultimately turned away and are now, of course, exploring litigation to ensure that we have the ability to visit these sites unannounced. Since then, the Florida Department of Emergency Management has announced a scheduled visit this Saturday, which, of course, we're pleased to see the public pressure working to have a scheduled visit, but it's not the same as an unannounced visit. So we are going to keep pushing on that point.
A spokesperson for the Florida Division of Emergency Management called your visit to Alligator Alcatraz political theater. How do you respond to that?
It's a lot of projection. This is the same department, the same state leaders who are selling merchandise to promote this detention center and are giving contracts, no bid contracts, to their friends who then cut political contributions to the governor and the attorney general and the Republican Party of Florida. And so there's nothing political. There's definitely no spectacle to practice oversight. That is our job as state lawmakers. This facility is going to cost more than $450 million and was built in less than a week. What bothers me is if we could spend that money on housing affordability, on addressing food insecurity, on helping to ensure that we have public transportation in our neighborhoods. There's so many other better uses of that money. So for me, it's not about politics, it's about good government and being responsible to the taxpayer.
You also visited the Orange County Jail. What did you learn there?
Well, I visited the Orange County Jail many times, and I, of course, have visited state prisons many times because, again, as a state lawmaker, it is not only my statutory authority to do so, but it's my responsibility to do so, to make sure that these facilities are following the law, that correctional officers are supported, and that, of course, basic humanitarian needs are being met for those who are detained. And so we went to the Orange County Jail to meet with the chief, to learn more about the environment on the ground, as our jail is in a contract with ICE as it pertains to detainment. We are losing money on this agreement. We're not getting reimbursed to the amount that would cover the full cost of what it takes to detain an individual. But while we were there, we saw where immigrants who are with no criminal backgrounds, but they have an unregulated status with immigration. We went to see where they're being detained, and we were able to actually speak to these individuals. And of course, learned quickly that not only are these folks who don't have criminal charges, but they are construction workers, plumbers, roofers, their dads, brothers, uncles, cousins. They, in some cases, have lived in Florida for decades, and of course are in a very struggling environment in the sense that they're unable to know what comes next. And individuals from the Orange County Jail have already been taken to the Everglades Detention Center, and there's just so much confusion on why, on who, and of course on what the process is to seek legal counsel. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me on that visit was how much our immigration system, like so many of our systems, are based on money, because every person that we spoke to did not have the resources to hire an attorney. And so when you look at who ends up in that situation compared to who avoids it, it's clear that financial support is a pretty clear indicator.
Will you be going on that tour this weekend at Alligator Alcatraz?
I plan to. We're actively moving calendar events right now. As you can imagine, my calendar for this weekend is booked up with local events and activities. So we are trying to see what we can turn to virtual, what we can move around, so I don't lose my presence in the community on Saturday. But I do think for our constituents, they are pushing us to go on this visit. Of course, I am concerned about the fact that it gives power to the state to really curate and sanitize a tour. And for me, this is not a field trip. This is really about oversight. And so that's why we have to keep pushing on the power of the legislature as a co-equal branch of government to exercise our oversight abilities to make these visits unannounced.
What do you want to see from that visit on Saturday?
Well, I've asked the department a few questions I'm still waiting for clarity on, including, are we allowed to record and film in the facility? Will we be able to speak to detainees? Will press be invited to join us? Will there be a way to ensure that attorneys can access their clients? And I'm waiting for a response on those questions. But my goal really is to be able to go to every corner of this facility and to talk to those who work in the facility. There's already videos popping up on social media of individuals that have since quit or were fired who worked at this detention facility and are expressing concerns with the working conditions. And of course, we want to be able to talk to detainees and identify folks who've been flagged by local community members as having status, of being DACA, of not having any type of criminal background, of having a pending court appointment. So we want to do our best to also support those that are caught in this political environment that have no reason to be detained, but because of not having a driver's license on them, or because of there being confusion of their status or not having legal representation, they're ending up in this environment.
My conversation with State Representative Anna Escamani earlier today, and again, the breaking news of the litigation that has been filed, the petition with the Florida Supreme Court trying to get that unannounced access to Alligator Alcatraz. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back in 2 minutes.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Garrett Weimer here. Thanks for joining us live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Want to let you know the drill still the same. The rest of this week, today, we are still dealing with soccer coverage right now live on Fox 35. Looks like that game may have just come to an end, but the post-game coverage still getting ready to continue. So we will be with you a little bit longer today here on Fox Local. We'll hand things off to Fox 35 News at 5 when it begins in a little bit. So still have a few more minutes with you, and I want to make the most of that. Today, let's talk a little theme parks, because multi-day tickets and those passes are on sale for Halloween Horror Nights. You can get those. The express passes have already sold out, but a lot of those passes are still available that you can get right now. And this comes on the day that Universal also announced a new Halloween Horror Nights haunted house. It's called the Terrifier, and it does indeed look terrifying. I talked with Darren White, lead publisher of EYNTK.info, all about it.
It is going to be terrifying. This is Terrifier, otherwise known as Art the Clown, and if you've never seen those movies, I just gotta warn you, this might be one of the goriest things you've ever seen in your life. This clown likes to be sadistic, he likes to go around and kill people, and he likes to torture them slowly. So if that's something that you like, this house might be built for you, because they said it's going to be very, very accurate to the film franchise.
So what you're saying is it's definitely one you want to know what you're getting yourself into before you head in.
Yes, on Universal's press release, they specifically said it's going to have unfathomable levels of gore inside the house.
I don't plan on going to that one, but this is definitely the kind of thing that nightmares are made of. So if you like things like this sounds like this is the one for you.
Yeah, that is correct. The original creator of the franchise even went on Twitter saying how excited he was for this house, saying that there's not just going to be amazing sights to see and some of the murders from the movies, but that there's even going to be very, very intense smells and sounds that are in there. So if you've gone off through a Horror Nights house, you might have smelled dirt, you might have smelled vomit or blood, and I'm assuming you're going to smell something very similar inside this house, maybe back to back as you go through different rooms.
So certainly it sounds like it will be immersive for
Yes.
good or ill.
Yes.
Now, all of this coming as a lot of the passes that we know people love to get, they're on sale. Some of them have already even sold out today.
Yeah, that is correct. So the Frequent Fear passes have already gone on. There's the Rush of Fear, which is the first couple of weeks that you can go. Frequent Fear Plus, and then Ultimate Frequent Fear. A lot of those, if you're going to be getting Express with them, which allows you to skip through some of the lines, those have already been sold out. The wait times today was actually holding the website up. There was about a 30-minute wait to get on and buy tickets, and they have already completely sold for the entire season at this point. So the cheapest one you could get right now is the Rush of Fear, which is about $199. Goes all the way up to $419 with the Ultimate Frequent Fear, but it was over $1,000 if you had added that Express option. So there's a couple of different options there if you think you want to go back and forth. If not, a single night ticket is going to be about $83.
What's some of the differences between the passes? What do you recommend for folks?
So the one that I personally get every single year, I never buy the Express because it does add so much money to it, but I always get the Frequent Fear Plus. That's going to let you go in every single day of the event except for Saturdays, which are always going to be the busiest, but the very first Saturday and the very last Saturday of the event, you do get to go into. If you want to go there every single night, that's what the Ultimate is for. It allows you in every single day. And then the Rush of Fear is kind of a nice one. That one allows you to go in the first couple of weekends to get and do the experience, but once it gets busier as we head into October, the pass ends. So you kind of get it at the beginning of the year, kind of get your Horror Nights in early, but you skip a lot of those crowds.
And there's also some other opportunities and things like the Unmasking the Horror Tour. What can we expect from that?
The Unmasking the Horror Tour is a great option if you're a horror fan, if you're a theme park fan, or maybe if you're someone that's really nervous about going to Horror Nights and you kind of want to see what you're getting into. So you can either do a 3 or a 6 house tour. The cheapest one of the 3 house is $90, and that's going to let you go into the park before Halloween Horror Nights is even started, and you get to tour some of those houses. You get to go in and learn the storyline, kind of see what it takes for the Halloween Horror Nights team to build some of those houses. I've done it before, and I'm going to do it again this year just because I love some of these franchises that are coming for this year's event. I really want to see what it takes for them to build this, but it's a really, really cool way to kind of see the insane amount of detail that goes into those houses. And the tour does start before the official event. So if you want to see it before anybody else, you can see it with the lights on more than a week before the event officially begins.
So we've now gotten several of these reveals, know quite a bit about what to expect with this year's Halloween Horror Nights. Which one are you most looking forward to?
The number one for me is definitely going to be Fallout. I love that Amazon Prime show, and I love the series and kind of how it is. It's not the scariest of all the options they have up this year, but the Horror Nights team is so good at building that immersive experience that I think it's going to be very cool to kind of step into that show and kind of see what they can do with it. Outside of that, Five Nights at Freddy's, I mean, that is an absolute fan favorite. So I'm excited to see how that is, but it's Halloween Horror Nights. I've been going every single year now for over a decade. I'm excited about it all.
How quickly do folks need to act on these tickets and these passes if they are interested?
So you shouldn't have to rush too much at this point. If you were going for an express, unfortunately, you're not going to get it. They are sold out. But if you're looking for some of the other ones, some of the other passes, you've got a little bit of time. The only exception I would say is that now Universal makes you pick what your first day of the event is going to be. So if you want to go opening day or opening weekend, you might want to go there a little bit quicker and buy some of those passes, because once you buy your pass, then you say, hey, I'm going opening day. That might get capped out. But outside of that, they usually sell the passes throughout the entire season. So you shouldn't necessarily have to rush unless you want that opening weekend.
All right. Anything else, Theron?
It's going to be a fun season. We're heading into the fog, and there is a rumor, it has not yet been confirmed, but there is a strong rumor that the next house that's going to be announced is going to be WWE themed. So we're excited to see that. We'll see exactly how that's going to tie in. It's not confirmed yet, but it's so rumored, it's almost confirmed at this point.
So keep your eyes peeled for more news on that front coming in the coming days. Keep it right here on Fox 35 News Plus. We've got more to come on the other side of this break.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Still have some time with you here on Fox Local. We appreciate you joining us on this Thursday afternoon as we are standing by for the start of Fox 35 News at 5 here in the next few minutes on Fox Local. This afternoon we heard from the astronauts, the crew of the upcoming Crew 11 flight that will be taking a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft and a Falcon 9 rocket from Space Launch Complex 39A and heading to the International Space Station. And that launch targeted for no earlier than July 31st. So a couple of weeks away now from that. And today, the crew held a news conference at the Kennedy Space Center in Brevard County, and we heard from the two NASA astronauts, a Japanese astronaut and a Russian cosmonaut who make up that Crew 11, talking about the trip and how the training has been going.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to everyone. It's wonderful to see those of you here in the room with us, and welcome to everyone joining us remotely online. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. It's my privilege to be here with my crewmates from Crew 11. We have been training together since roughly September of last year. We were all in the unique position of actually training with previous crew assignments. What that has meant for us is an incredible bond that is rooted in gratitude and resilience. It's been such a pleasure to train with this crew. I cannot tell you enough how meaningful it is to have a crew that is as kind and as thoughtful and as wonderful as they are incredibly technically competent, incredible astronauts, cosmonauts coming from multiple agencies, many different backgrounds. They make my job very, very easy as commander. I do want to spend a few moments passing it off to my crewmates for them to say hello as well.
Thanks, Zena. Wow, it's hard to follow that. So, as we saw in the opening remarks or opening montage, we're coming up on 50 years of international space cooperation with Apollo-Soyuz, or Soyuz-Apollon, and and 25 years later this year for continuous human presence aboard our beautiful International Space Station, and that's a tribute to humans working so well together. And I'm personally looking forward to going back to the International Space Station, and I'm looking forward to Zena and Oleg for their first time, and flying with my good friend Kimiya Yui-san. We have a really exceptional crew here, and I'm looking forward to riding on a dragon.
Okay. Oh, Zena-san and Mike-san already explained everything, so not much to add, actually. But I'm so grateful to be here, and we'll be able to fly with great crew members. I believe this is one of the best crew members. So we'll definitely enjoy our ride, and also, long duration mission on ISS. And actually, yeah, it's very hard to believe, actually, Gina-san and Oleg-san is the first rookie. They're so capable. And Mike-san has a lot of good experience, various kind of experience. So last mission was 10 years ago, so I'm very looking forward to going back to my home, ISS. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Oleg Platonov, and I will be a mission specialist for our Crew 11.
Hearing the astronauts there and the Russian cosmonaut talking about what they are looking forward to. Interesting to hear that Japanese astronaut talk about how he feels like ISS is his home. So that launch again scheduled for the end of the month. Well, thanks for joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus. We will go ahead and send things out to Studio B for the start of Fox 35 News at 5 in just seconds right here on Fox Local.
Fox 35 News at 5 starts